Both my remaining Pokemon very deep in the red, but with a bucket load of energy, Hydreigon gonna rip off the Brutal Swing, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and it's time to serve up that wham, bam, combo play, serve up the Big Mac and the fries. Talonflame gets one shot vanquished, back to its Pokeball, back out comes Gelatin, and it's time for Tentacruel to get some payback. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that know me, have watched my videos before, you know I've got a horrible habit of yapping for far too long in the intro, but this one is going to be short and very sweet. Today, I'm going to be showcasing the greatest Poison Dark team to ever enter the Go Battle League. I'm going to let the battles do the talking, and with all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead the buffed Shadow Squidward into the Titan, a triple buff Pokemon, a fantastic lead for Squidward, and exactly where the team wants to see it. My double dark, double dragon backline isn't a big fan of ice. On the flip side, as the opponents opt in to stay in an atrocious matchup, clearly they have something else in the back that isn't a fan of our big squid. We tank the Icicle Sphere, fire off the Scald rocks him deep into the red health range, and out comes the Pancake, aka Unova Stun Fist. The acids might be resisted, but Scald forces the first Protect Shield, and here comes Zweilous. One thing I noticed with using Tentacruel is, my god, Scald feels like it's a 50-50 debuff chance again. Of course it isn't, or at least it's not supposed to be, but we got so many debuffs. At -1, this Pancake has pitiful damage output. We tank back-to-back Mud Bombs, overfarm, fire off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse won't be lethal, but will leave them low. To my surprise, the opponent invests the final Protect Shield, attempt to sap the Titan, sack attempt unsuccessful. We're going to commit to the Dark Pulse and look to force the energy. Despite having energy on Zweilous, I don't really see the point in shielding this. Anything Zweilous can do, Hydreigon can do, in my opinion, better. But point to note, this thing is hella glassy. Today's team and strategy is nice and simple, a standard ABB team. We're going to be leading Tentacruel. If we don't see the Dragon or Dark counter in the lead, we're going to save it to Zweilous, look to bait it out, clear it with Tentacruel, and essentially save all the shields for Hydreigon and look to sweep the back line. In game 1, the strategy comes off clutch, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Magical Leaf Victory Bell in the lead position. I think Acid's objectively better, but regardless, we're going to catch the Leaf Blade onto Hydreigon, and out comes Talonflame. You will notice Auto running an interesting moveset of Fire Spin. Of course, this is an unranked season. It's the early ranked. I went like 0-25, trying to get a victory with Callum on toast. My hidden elo is probably atrocious. Callum, if you're watching, buddy, I'm going to apologise. I tried to get a win with Roggenrola, Trico, as well as maxed out Drifloon. I went 0-25 and just gave up. I'm far too washed up to pull off any of that shenanigans. People running try-hard, basic bitch meta, and I got absolutely clapped. Returning to the commentary, I've got a bucket of energy this Hydreigon as it looks to close the show. We fire off the Brutal Swing forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. In situations like this, despite Brutal Swing getting same type attack bonus fly, it does do more. There's a one-hit KO, quick switch, back into Tentacruel. We've got that Payback locked and loaded, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Cradilly in the lead position. A decent matchup for Tentacruel. We are going to save Tentacruel for any potential Dark or Dragon type counter. Right on cue, we pivot into Zweilous, baiting out the ever-boring, ever-bulky Bunny. Fucking hell, man. The interlude season and people still running Cradilly and Azumarill. There are no words. Everyone, of course, is free to use whatever they want. However, in an unranked season where elo really doesn't matter and everyone gets that stupid Pikachu Libre, I personally think you should play some Pokemon you don't often play and try and play outside of your comfort zone. I think I'm being a bit of a hypocrite there, to be honest, as I'm definitely not outside of my comfort zone. I always run this triple Shadow shenanigans. I'm essentially doing the same as I always did, not taking it all that seriously. Once again, I've manoeuvred myself a shield advantage Hydreigon. I'm going to fire off this Brutal Swing. A Brutal Swing forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. I've got 2, and I'm certainly going to be investing one here. The first Brutal Swing wouldn't have been lethal, however, I'm now going to be able to Dragon Breath him in a range where the next Brutal Swing will knock him out. This game's looking pretty signed, sealed, and delivered. We've got energy on Tentacruel, we've got energy on Hydreigon. Let's see what the opponent wants to do. They send back at Azumarill, try to force my final Protect Shield, but nah. We save Hydreigon, make the catch, back onto Tentacruel, and out comes Alolan Marowak. Scald would probably do more, but I invested like 60 M to try and get payback, so we're going to YOLO it anyway. Payback, rocks the opponent low. Do we need to shield this? We'd probably survive any one move, but I'm going to be an absolute fanny. Invest to Protect Shield, Dragon Breath farm down, double resisted, Dragon Breath farm down Azumarill, and take that game. In the next battle, we see a great lead, but what isn't great is the huge amount of lag I got. We're like a turn behind, or maybe like 2 turns behind. We end up getting denied there, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's a great matchup for Squidward. We're going to tank the first Rage Fist, return fire with the Scald, once again getting the attack drop. We can survive this move. I'm going to look to keep the squid nice and healthy. I'm going to fire off 4 acids, bank my energy, and look to catch the Rage Fist onto Zweilous. The Rage Fist won't do much. We are going to take quite a lot of Karate Chop damage if the opponent opts to stay in. They do stay in, and Zweilous already finds itself down to around a third health. Out comes Feraligatr. No messing around. We go straight for the Dark Pulse, guaranteeing massive damage or the final protection. The opponent obliges, putting up that protection, and don't overfarm whatsoever. A resisted Hydro Cannon will be removing me from the field of play. I'm going to send out Hydreigon. I'm thinking, is it going to be Brutal Swing range? Potentially, we outpace by a single turn. I'd love this to be lethal, meaning I ain't going to have to invest the Protect Shield. It does get the job done. Out comes Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn only throws on 4. At worst, Power Whip, question mark. It is a Power Whip. Hydreigon might be glassy, but not that glassy. We'll withstand the damage. We're never, ever getting Bullet Seed farm down. We fire off the Brutal Swing. We're going to fire off the Fly. Is it necessary? Not particularly, but it is going to be all she wrote. GG's that opponent. I actually played this team for 15 sets on Friday, the first day of the Go Battle weekend, and 7 of them 15 sets were 5-0, including a 13-game win streak. Take that as you will. In the next battle, we see Jellicent in the lead position. We say switch into Zweilous, and I'm glad I did, as out comes Alolan Ninetales. So it looks like we're getting hard countered, but team working as intended. What's actually great for me is Charm is double super effective. I mean, they don't get too much farm. I'm thinking I can potentially tank one Side Shock, fully acid farm down, have the Payback locked and loaded. The opponent go for the Weather Ball, reach the departing Weather Ball. I can't even see the health bar, but Weather Ball will be survivable. Tentacruel able to acid farm down, but got hardly any HP. I decide to bank the 100 energy on Tentacruel, make the pivot into Hydreigon. The opponent stays in, fire off the Surf, force him chip into action before sending out the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. Hydreigon gonna release the Brutal Swing, force the first Protect Shield of the game. We are low, but I'm more than happy to match one Protect Shield here and try and force the opponent all shields down. The opponent find himself between a rock and a hard place. Where do they invest that final Protect Shield? We fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing does force the final Protect Shield. Quick switch into Tentacruel, serving up the wham, bam combo play, giving the opponent the Big Mac and the fries in order. Back out comes Jellicent, and Tentacruel is going to get some payback. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Greninja in the lead position. So what I'm going to do here is throw 4 acids and look to catch the Night Slash onto Zweilous. You will notice this opponent actually throw the Hydro Cannon. A lot of people seem to believe that Hydro Cannon, when resisted, does do more than a neutral Night Slash. It does not. So you definitely want to throw Night Slash here for Greninja into Tentacruel because it's cheaper and has a chance to boost. Maybe they 5-head me, but regardless, we're going to tank back-to-back moves and get switch advantage. Out comes Sizzle. And to be honest, this is a massive problem for this team. Sizzle can kind of beat the entire line of 3. But we do have energy on Tentacruel, so we're able to force the first Protect Shield. I think here I'm obliged to match Protect Shield. If they Trailblaze, which they do, if we don't shield that, we probably get resisted. Bullet Punch farm down afterwards. Tentacruel going to rip off the next Scald. Scald force the opponent's final Protect Shield. We pivot into Hydreigon and look at the Bullet Punches go. Oh boy. The opponent fires off the Trailblaze. Stay on my screens. I'm going to fire off the Brutal Swing, which will be moving them from the field of play. What is that third? Out comes Corsola. So we've definitely still got a slim but fighting chance here. I'm going to farm up, throw the Brutal Swing just before the opponent receives the energy for their charge move. The opponent look to Astonish, farm down. They don't get it. And Hydreigon once again closes strong. GG's that opponent. If they would have instant thrown there, it would have actually been a charge attack priority to the next charge move. I'm not actually sure who wins CMP out of Tentacruel and Corsola. Both are quite defense weighted, but it is what it is. Heading into the next battle, we see the same lead, and once again the opponent throw a Hydro Cannon. We say switch into Zweilous, again baiting out a very annoying Charmer. This time it happens to be the Marshmallow, aka Wigglytuff. What's really nice is when you bait out a Charmer with Zweilous, you die very quickly, meaning the Charmer doesn't actually get too much energy. Not entirely sure that Icy Winded there, as opposed to Swift, but I'm not complaining. Tentacruel able to get a massive farm down, once again leaving 100 energy. I'm going to stay in, look to chip this Greninja, Scald, force the Protect Shield, and here comes Hydreigon. Unfortunately this time we didn't get the attack drop. Hydro Cannon would do over half my health, so I'm going to invest the Protect Shield. Look for the Dragon Breath farm down, and heartbreakingly, again, they survive on fractional HP. You can see just how glassy Hydreigon is. To be fair, that was more like 65% of my HP, but out comes Alolan Marowak, and again, this game is signed, sealed, and delivered. The first Brutal Swing, forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. This brutal swing will be landing. We've got the Skull banked. Another cheeky wham bam combo play, and we're going to be moving swiftly on. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, this time we see Dusknoir in the lead position. Not a particularly good matchup. However, you know what would be funny? If we can catch a Shadow Punch onto Zweilous and bank our energy in the process. We anticipate the opponent throwing after fire and we're able to successfully make the catch. Apparently, every single team in the Great League has a fairy type. So if you're going to run this team, it is paramount that you say switch into Zweilous. I'm not entirely sure why Weezing shield up the first Body Slam. Body Slam is not going to do much of anything, as you can see here. Like 30%, questionably 30%, more like 25, I guess. As Weezing's got a sub-poison type in, I'm unable to acid farm this thing all the way down before the opponent's timer's up. Hence I threw the Scald there. I just look to remove Weezing from the field of play before the opponent gets any smart ideas of saving this Weezing and pivoting back out. Speaking of which, there is the pivot. The opponent banked yet another Shadow Punch. We're able to catch for the second time in the game. And here, I already got my path forward. We're going to go for the one shield. Full Dragon Breath farm down, so if Weezing re-enters the arena, it's going to be straight in and straight out. Courtesy of our newly acquired move, Fly. I'm looking top right, Weezing re-enters the arena. Hydreigon fires off the fly. Hydreigon is a Weezing counter confirmed. You heard it here first, and out comes Belly Bolt. Shadow Hydreigon still not done. Gonna fire off the Brutal Swing. A Brutal Swing easily puts them in a range where Scald will be lethal. I actually thought I could close the show with Hydreigon. Unfortunately, I cannot. We've got energy banked on Tentacruel, and regardless, we will be emerging victorious. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Salazzle in the lead position. I actually love this Pokemon. It's very, very attack weighted. It's going to be 3 Incinerates to a potential Dragon Pulse. We are able to outpace, firing off the Skull, which should be forcing the first protection of the game. Again, you can see we get the attack drop. The RNG god smiling upon me today. The opponent fire off the Dragon Pulse. We then make the pivot into Zweilous. Zweilous going to look to overfarm, fire off the Body Slam just before the next Dragon Pulse is reached and see what the opponent wants to do. As the opponent shielded, surely this is the Dragon Pulse, right? Even if it is, I don't give a shit. We intended to shield Hydreigon and actually go for the Poison Fang bait, which were able to withstand the damage. Fully Dragon Breath farm down, leaving with residual energy good to go. Body Slam doesn't do too much into Mandibars. However, switch time is up to make the pivot into Hydreigon. Clearly, the opponent doesn't have a great Dark Dragon counter. They stayed in the opening matchup and then sent out a Snarl Mandibars. Hydreigon fires off the fly, massive damage, but not enough to knock out. Do they still run Aerial Ace? Apparently not. Shadow Ball, probably foul play. Let's find out. Regardless, it should be resisted. A non-stab Shadow Ball still rocks me below the half health range, but Hydreigon able to Dragon Breath farm down. Out comes Golurk and Blink, and you might miss it. Golurk straight in and straight out, and I take that game. In the next battle, we see Typhlosion in the lead position. I believe there's actually a non-Shadow Typhlosion. Who runs non-Shadow Ty? Honestly, we farm up, catch the Thunder Punch onto Zweilous, where it doesn't do much of anything. The opponent stays in, bank one single Incinerate worth of energy, and then send out Azumarill. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of ABB strategies, but I personally love them. I think it's so easy to maneuver yourself in a position where your second B-type can close strong. You can see time and time again Zweilous baits out a Fairy type. This Azumarill still really healthy. We're going to go well over 100 energy off fully Acid Farm down, so we're going to fire off the Scald, then Acid Farm down afterwards, and still leave well over a Scald's worth of energy. Another reason I throw against the Azumarill is a similar situation to the Galarian Weezing. I want to land decent damage if the opponent saves it, which they do here. And they did in the last battle. It is very, very low and in a range where even Hydreigon can handle it. Out comes Stunfish. Trainer, why didn't you shield? We go for the one shield, full Dragon Breath farm down, and this game is completely over. I probably could have double resisted Dragon Breath farm down this Azumarill, but I really couldn't be bothered. Just fired off the Brutal Swing. The opponent has 2 shields. And unfortunately for them, they'll be saving both of them for next season. We are going to invest a Protect Shield here. Tap, 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 tap. Fast move beat down Typhlosion. And I take that game. In the next battle, we see another Greninja in the lead position. This time, am I going to catch a Night Slash? No, the opponent actually anticipates the catch. And out comes Stunfisk. This is actually a fine matchup for me. I'm not hard countered whatsoever. You can see we can tank 2 Mud Bombs. And the combination of 1 Dark Pulse into Body Slam does get the job done, meaning you're able to win the 0 shield scenario. Right off the bat, he was able to land the hard-hitting Dark Pulse, which means if the opponent wants alignment, they're forced now to shield a non-stab Body Slam. Ball in the opponent's court as Zweilous fires off the Body Slam, removes Stunfisk from the field of play, and back out comes Greninja to get yet more energy together. In theory, Hydreigon would fully wall Greninja, but we've already seen that Hydro Cannon may as well be bloody super effective, doing like 65%. So with that in mind, I'm going to send out the big squid, use it as the damage sponge, and look to force the first protection of the game with a Scald. Greninja users love to shield, but to my surprise, Scald goes unshielded. We pivot into Hydreigon. It's Typhlosion in the back. There are going to be no more charge moves thrown in this game. I tap, tap, tap. Fast move beat down like an absolute degenerate, and I will be emerging victorious. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle. Oh boy. Tyranitar. This thing is definitely a problem for my line of 3. Although in fairness, these resisted asses don't look all that resisted. It looks like they're actually doing more than the neutral non-stab Dragon Breaths, which is kind of crazy. We're going to fire off the Scald. Scald will be forcing the opponent's first protection, and I pivot into Zweilous. The opponent banks a boatload of energy and send out Celio, so this one isn't going according to plan. Once again, we force in the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse able to land, rocking Celio deep into the red health range. Come on, Zweilous, survive this body slam, reach your own. Unfortunately, that isn't quite possible. Can I acid farm down in 4? Please, get there, get there. Oh, heartbreakingly, another 1 HP survive. I've now got a 2-shielded Hydreigon versus the world. We do get off 1 Dragon Breath before the Powder Snow registers, meaning we do get a small energy lead. The opponent farm up to what could be a Stone Edge. Of course, fire off the Brutal Swing bait. Shadow and Shadow Cry. Brutal Swing would probably put me in fast move beatdown range for whatever the third is. Out comes Sableye. Is this a winnable game? If we can force the shield with a Brutal Swing, reach a fly potentially. This is a resisted foul play, Hydreigon. You remember that. We're not going to reach the fly. I have to set off the Brutal Swing. Even if I did reach the fly, we'd get Dragon Breath farm down and the win streak comes to an end. We did go 13-0 to get us underway. All good things must come to an end. Heading into the next battle. See Dunsparce in the lead position. I did attempt to catch a move on alignment, but after winning some, my hidden elo's probably gone up. So in theory, I probably should have thrown 7 and anticipated him throwing on good timing. I actually completely sacrificed Zweilous to the Pokegods. Thanks, buddy. You did a lot in this battle. Here I'm going to throw 5. The reason for that is, again, I'm not entirely sure if I win CMP. So I do maximise farm, throwing 1 quick move before the next move's reached, and we're able to move them from the field of play. Out comes the ever-annoying Steel Snake. We fire off the Scald. Scald forced to protection. I pivot into Hydreigon. We are resisting the Thunderfangs, but do have to be mindful of a potential Earthquake, or even a Breaking Swipe, if that's the moves that they are running. The opponent farming up a boatload of energy. I choose to respect. This is a Psychic Fang. The video's ended here and I'm uninstalling the game. Thankfully, they force in the Breaking Swipe and then send out Mantine. Opting for Bubble. Haven't seen Mantine in like forever. I fire off the Fly. Fly looks like it'll 2-shot, but I'm going to have to set off the Brutal Swing before they receive the energy for a potential Ice Beam. I fire off the Brutal Swing, attempt to catch the Ice Beam onto the big squid, saving Hydreigon in the back with almost full health. Well, let's be honest, not quite full health, but enough HP to easily reach another move. Speaking of reaching a move, Squidward fires off the Scald that should be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. And I think at this point, we should be over the line. They can't Psychic Fangs bait into a Break-In Swipe as Steelix doesn't generate energy all that well. The opponent falls in the Break-In Swipe, even at -1. They're in the red health range, and Brutal Swing is going to be all she wrote. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see our nemesis. And I'm already thinking, fuck my life, this is probably going to be a loss. But interesting, they go straight for a Night Slash, which is probably better for me, unless they get the boost, which thankfully they don't get. I'm going to fire off the Scald. I think there I definitely should throw a bit earlier. Fishing for the debuff, meaning the bullet punches would do less. Usually you always want to maximise farm, but let's be honest, Sizzle users essentially shield everything, so you may as well throw it instantly. I do reach the next Scald. Scald forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and I send out Zweilous. The opponent saves their Sizzle, and out comes Azumarill. Not really the best spot, but not the worst. I have got a shield advantage. I'm hoping back-to-back body slams put this Azumarill into fly range. But fly does around 45%, and they're still in the green. The opponent very nicely over-farms, and this is still quite a tricky spot to be in. I'm going to send out Hydreigon, and I guess attempt to make the catch of the Ice Beam back onto the big squid. Azumarill is definitely getting closer and closer to fly range, but in reality they're probably going to pivot out. They do exactly that and send out Cradilly. In an ideal world, I need to knock out this Cradilly and keep my shield intact. It looks like back-to-back Brutal Swings will be removing Cradilly from the field of play. Scizor is still alive and still does have quite a lot of health. Back out comes Scizor, and I'm definitely forced to shield this. However, we are very much in danger of getting fast move beat down. I fire off the brutal swing. You can see the bullet punches did far too much. We're deep in the red, and unfortunately we're going to get resisted. Bubble farm down, and this one does end in heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. Holy moly, in the next battle we see Shadow Machamp. You love to see it. They go straight for Rock Slide. That isn't enough for a Stone Edge, but even Rock Slide non-stab does a lot of damage. The opponent pivots out into the Steel Penguin, and I opt to send out Zweilous. Whilst Hydreigon would outpace the brutal swings, the difference between Hydreigon and Zweilous is kind of obvious. Zweilous can easily tank a Drill Peck, and it looks like the opponent is going to be forced to dump yet further energy. Whereas if I sent out Hydreigon, one Drill Peck would put me in Metal Sound farm down range. We're able to force a Protect Shield here in the mid-game matchup. Here I'm actually going to send out Hydreigon and look to start loading up on energy. Shadow Machamp suffers with the same issue as Hydreigon. It is hella glassy. I see it coming in. Opt to fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing, forced to Protect Shield. We've got that charge we've banked on Squidward, so I waste no time. Give the opponent that wham, bam, combo play. Fire off the Scald. Scald's able to knock out. Back out comes the Steel Penguin, and they are going to look to dump energy. Again, it's a one-shielded Hydreigon versus the world. I'm looking at the health thinking, do you know what? This looks like an easy one shield. A full Dragon Breath farm down. We're actually able to Dragon Breath farm down before they reach another charge move. And out comes Licky, far too thicky. Licky, you sir might be thick, but Hydreigon's about to ask you, are you thick enough? Brutal Swing with the residual Dragon Breath puts them below half health, and Fly knocks out Licky, not so thicky, and I take that game. In the next battle, we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death in the lead position. The opponent say switches into Furret, and here comes Zweilous. So Zweilous can tank 2 Swifts, as long as you've got a decent IV one. I think mine's like rank 100 or something. We're able to easily win the 0 shield scenario. I was actually quite surprised the opponent not fight for switch advantage there. They send out Primeape, unable to Karate Chop farm down before the Body Slams reach. Body Slam forced to Protect Shield. It looks like after Hydreigon doing all the heavy lifting today, he can have a well-deserved rest on the bench, as Squidward is going to be able to carry me home. The opponent's just feeding me energy to knock out that Talonflame. I'm more than happy to double shield here. Fully acid farm down. And when Talonflame re-enters the arena, it's going to be straight in and straight out. Trainer, you need to pivot. Finally, the opponent does make that pivot, but it's simply too little too late. 2 acids and the first gold, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. 2 further acids, and the next gold is locked and loaded. Get that Talonflame off my screen. We acid farm down Primeape and take that game. In the next battle, buckle up. We can see our nemesis, Shadow Scizor, once again in the lead position. Who knows, this might be the first Shadow Scizor user in the history of the game to not shield the Scald. Let's be honest, you can bet your mortgage, if you're old enough to have a mortgage, on that going shielded. Right on cue, there is the Protect Shield. It looks like we're having to change a strategy. I'm actually going to tank the damage and try and work with shield advantage. I think my thought process was the opponent threw as soon as they got the move, meaning they're completely energy dry, and I can send out Hydreigon, outpaced by a single turn to the Brutal Swing, and Brutal Swing is able to knock out. The opponent sends out Altaria. I look to fire off the Brutal Swing. The opponent makes a very nice catch it onto Ludicolo, but this gives me a win con. I pivot into Zweilous. Zweilous going to go for the one shield. Full Dragon Breath farm down. I look to land back-to-back Dark Pulses into that Altaria. The opponent go for the Weather Ball bait. I really wished I didn't take this Weather Ball, but it is what it is. It isn't going to do too much damage. Altaria still isn't going to be able to Dragon Breath farm me down before the back-to-back Dark Pulse I reach. The first Dark Pulse forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. There is no point in baiting. We reach the next Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is able to land. The opponent does Dragon Breath farm me down, but my Hydreigon's healthier than their Altaria. We Dragon Breath farm them down and take a very, very close game. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, Zweilous, go quickly. Tentacruel doesn't really fancy his chances against a Shadow Torterra. The opponent remains on my screen. I fire off the Body Slam, forcing the first Protect Shield. The opponent returns fire with the Sand Tomb. Zweilous able to hang on. I look to reach the next Body Slam, but the opponent makes a very nice catch and sneak, sending out Charger Bug. Charger Bug is actually a bit of a core breaker. It's able to hit the entirety of the team for super effective. The Dark types take super effective from the X's, and Tentacruel going to be weak to the electric type damage. I shield up the first X-Scissor, look to catch the next X-Scissor onto Tentacruel. I think at this point I've decided that Hydreigon will be my win con. The opponent throws one Volt Switch, send back out Torterra, and they're going to be forced to dump energy. Sand Tube's not the best move. Hopefully we survive and get off the Scald. Unfortunately we don't, but you know what? This just gives yet more energy for Hydreigon. Hydreigon able to Dragon Breath farm down. Ah, Bastiodon. Clearly I can't win the game and I'm going to concede the match. Despite them running a bullshit Bastiodon, we'll say GG's regardless. Heading into the next battle. We see another problematic Pokemon, or at least something that can hit the entirety of the team for super effective. The Sideways hit Tentacruel and the Super Power hit both the Dark types are super effective. I invest the Protect Shield. The opponent then, in theory, hard punish me with Celia. With an energy lead, we've seen this is more than playable. Dark Pulse once again goes unshielded. Unlike the previous battle, we didn't survive the Body Slam. At this time, we are going to survive. And I think best case scenario for me would be forcing a Protect Shield here in the mid-game matchup. We don't do that, and I think that's a smart play from the opponent as they're able to get yet more energy together. Despite pivoting out of this opening matchup, I'm going to re-enter it. Because Tentacruel can take a charge move, whereas Hydreigon cannot. The opponent farm up to the double. I anticipate that's when they'll throw an Opticatch on a Hydreigon, giving myself a slim but fighting chance. The opponent is doubled up. We are going to invest a Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Superpower. The opponent very smartly pivots out, and this game, unfortunately, is going to end in defeat. Brutal Swing will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. They're going to outpace to the Sacred Sword. Hydreigon is hella glassy. This Sacred Sword probably knocks out this Hydreigon. Every Hydreigon to ever enter the Go Battle League. We lose CMP too, and this one is kind of an absolute assassination. GG's to that opponent. Oh wait, we actually survived, but we're just going to get Sideway farmed down. Skull doesn't get the job done, and we actually get Shadow Claw farmed down instead. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, and we are looking to bounce back. We see Sableye in the lead position. Not a fantastic lead for Tentacruel. I save switch into Zweilous. The opponent attempts to catch a Dark Pulse onto Lickitung, and I'll be honest, Dark Pulse is the move I intend to throw. It does objectively more than the Body Slam. Dark Pulse is able to land, and I believe this battle is actually against my friend Ayubi. Shout out Ayubi, I think his name's like the Rivas or something. Did quite well in Stuttgart, finishing like top 13. Ayubi, buddy, it's time to meet up again. I'll probably see you in Birmingham. I was able to throw off the Body Slam on CMP, winning CMP and forcing the first protection of the game. I send out Tentacruel. The opponent not wishing to concede a farm down. I send back out Sableye. I attempt to catch a foul play. Catch attempt unsuccessful. I still get bloody baited. With friends like this, who needs enemies? I fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing forces the final Protect Shield. And I guess if you're going to shield, surely this one isn't a bait. Oh my god. Oh man. This should only be a foul play. Right? Thankfully, it's just a foul play. Ayubi then gives up switch, sending out Lickitung just to feed the big squid yet further energy. Out comes the Steel Penguin. The Steel Penguin going to be greeted with the Payback. Payback lands, rocking them into the red health range, and my opponent is going to concede the match. GG's Mr. Ayubi, always a pleasure. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's video. Honestly, this team was absolutely phenomenal. Out of the 15 sets I did, almost 50% of them sets ended in perfect 5-0. I think Tentacruel, the combination of Acid, Scald and Payback, along with a very respectable bulk, make an absolute menace. I think Zweilous is kind of an unsung hero as well. I don't really think it got the chance to perform today, as it was essentially the bait out Pokemon. However, if you look back on some of my videos last season when this Pokemon was first released, a lot of my successful teams from last season did feature Zweilous, as in neutral matchups, it's an absolute powerhouse. Hydreigon now has got access to Fly, is a menace in both the Great and the Ultra League. I have got some Ultra League battles recorded. I don't know when I get around to Shoutcaster, but trust when I tell you, the thing is an absolute pest. Eventually, we're going to look to use one of the Master League as well. So if you're looking forward to all that content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below, and I will try my best to start doing Shoutcast again. I'd like to say a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.